Imagine walking into a doctor's office, expecting to hear about some expensive treatment, a new supplement, or a fancy pill, but instead, the doctor looks at you and says, "Go home and eat beans." That's not a joke. Right now, across the world, more and more doctors are literally prescribing beans, lentils, and peas, the humble legume family, as medicine. And when you hear why, you might never look at this food the same way again. For decades, superfoods have dominated the headlines. Exotic powders from the Amazon, berries that cost more than gold, and supplements that make huge promises. But hidden in plain sight, sitting quietly on supermarket shelves for less than the cost of a soda, is a food group so powerful that it's shocking how overlooked it is. And today, we're diving into the science, the stories, and even the struggles behind it. Let's start with a place called blue zones. These are rare regions in the world where people regularly live past 100 years old, not in nursing homes, but active, walking, gardening, and laughing with their grandchildren. Researchers who visited these places, Okinawa in Japan, Sardinia in Italy, Nicoya in Costa Rica, noticed something strange. The diets were different, the cultures unique, but in every single one, there was one common food: legumes, beans, lentils, chickpeas. The people who lived the longest were eating them almost every single. Now, fast forward to today, doctors and scientists are uncovering why. It turns out legumes do something extraordinary in the body. They're packed with fiber more than almost any other food. Fiber is like your body's broom, sweeping away excess cholesterol, balancing blood sugar, and helping your gut microbes, the tiny organisms that literally control your immunity, your mood, and even your risk of disease. But legumes don't stop there. They also contain plant proteins that directly lower blood pressure. And here's the kicker. Multiple studies now show that eating just one cup of beans or lentils a day can reduce your risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and even some cancers. But here's where the story takes a turn. Even though science is screaming about their benefits, people aren't eating them. In fact, surveys show that in some countries, people eat less than half a serving of legumes per week. Why? The answers are complicated. Convenience, culture, marketing. We've been taught to chase shiny new health hacks instead of looking at the everyday foods our grandparents grew up on. And in the process, we've ignored one of the cheapest, most powerful health tools ever discovered. To bring this story to life, let's meet three people. First, there's Dr. Maya Thompson, a cardiologist in New York. Every day, she sees patients battling high blood pressure, clogged arteries, and the stress of expensive prescriptions. And for years, she followed the standard routine: diagnose, prescribe, repeat. But after diving into research on nutrition, Maya made a bold decision. She began asking her patients to add just one cup of legumes to their diet daily. Within weeks, some saw their blood pressure drop so much that medications were reduced. One man even said, "Doctor, I didn't know a bowl of beans could make me feel this good." Then there's Carlos Rivera, a bus driver in Texas. For most of his life, Carlos lived on fast food burgers, fries, soda. By his early 40 seconds, he was 60 pounds overweight, constantly tired, and on three different medications for blood pressure and cholesterol. When his doctor suggested beans, Carlos laughed. "Beans? That's poor people's food," he said, but eventually he gave it a try. Black beans with rice for lunch, lentil soup for dinner, chickpea curry on the weekends. Within 6 months, he lost 25 pounds without counting calories. His energy returned, and his doctor cut his prescriptions in half. It wasn't a diet, Carlos said. It was food, real food. Finally, meet Aiko Tanaka, a 92-year-old woman living in Okinawa, Japan. She has outlived nearly all her childhood friends, and she still tends her garden daily. When asked her secret, she doesn't mention supplements or gyms. She simply smiles and points to her pot of miso soup with tofu and soybeans. "Eat your beans," she says. For her, legumes aren't a health trend. They're culture, tradition, and survival. The science, the stories, the lived experience, it all adds up. And yet, many of us still hesitate. Maybe it's the old myth that beans cause discomfort. Maybe it's the convenience of fast food. Or maybe, deep down, we don't believe something so cheap could be that powerful. But here's the twist. Sometimes, the simplest answers are the ones hiding in plain sight. Think about it. A bag of lentils costs less than $2. One can of chickpeas can feed an entire family when added to a salad or stew. Compare that to the cost of one fast food meal or one bottle of a trendy supplement. The return on investment is mind blowing. You spend less, you eat better, and your body thanks you with energy, clarity, and strength. Now, let's zoom out. What happens if entire communities embraced legumes the way doctors are beginning to recommend? Studies show national healthcare costs could drop dramatically. Rates of obesity, diabetes, and heart disease could decline within a generation. Imagine a world where the solution to billion-dollar health problems wasn't in high-tech labs or elite hospitals, but in a bowl of lentil soup shared at the dinner table. And here's the emotional part. Behind all the science, this story is about dignity, about giving people affordable, powerful tools to take back their health. For too long, eating well has been painted as a luxury. But legumes flip that script. They prove that health doesn't have to come with a high price tag. That healing can be humble, simple, and accessible. But there's also resistance. Powerful industries, from processed food giants to pharmaceutical companies, aren't thrilled about the idea that a cheap food could compete with their billion-dollar products. Marketing campaigns have trained us to crave burgers over beans, sodas over soups. And while there's nothing wrong with enjoying variety, the imbalance has made us sick. Which raises the question, if the answer has been in our kitchens all along, why did we stop listening? This is where the tortoise and hare lesson comes back. In a world sprinting toward quick fixes, legumes are the tortoise, slow, steady, reliable. They don't promise overnight miracles. They promise quiet, consistent protection, and in the marathon of life, that's what really matters. So, what can you do right now? It doesn't have to be extreme. Start with 1 cup a day. Maybe it's black beans in a taco, lentil soup on a chilly evening, or hummus spread on bread. Make it fun, make it flavorful, make it yours. Over time, that 1 cup could change your health story in ways you can't imagine today. The future of medicine isn't just in hospitals or pharmacies. It's in choices made in kitchens, at grocery stores, around family tables. And legumes, the humble bean, the overlooked lentil are leading that revolution. So the next time you see a dusty bag of beans sitting quietly on a shelf, don't walk past it. Pick it up, cook it, eat it. Because what you hold in your hands isn't just food, it's centuries of wisdom, modern science, and a key to a healthier, longer life. This is not hype. This is not a trend. This is truth. And as more doctors prescribe it, as more people rediscover it, we may one day look back and realize the greatest medical discovery of our time wasn't invented in a lab. It was grown in the soil. If you believe food can heal, subscribe right now, because the next story will show you the single worst healthy breakfast food doctors wish you'd stop eating. Trust me, you don't want to miss it.